Mic check one, two. Do. Okay, cool.
Good afternoon. Instantly silent. Thank you, bro. Firstly, apologies for starting about 7 minutes late. We were just wondering, and for those new to Stellenbosch, that's the world of Stellenbosch traffic, unfortunately, so also the time. But good afternoon to all guests, friends of the university, friends of SANCEP, and also those guests that are joining us online. We have quite a few of our partners that's joining us online due to obviously COVID limitations. We can only host a limited amount of guests today. Thank you for the light. My name is Linton Jacobs, and I'll be your program director for this afternoon. And I think it would just be right if I welcome you to the official launch of SU Advantage. The director, Dr. Benedict Gebodi, would do the official welcoming, but if there's anybody that was here, we're not sure where they are. You are at the official launch of the SU Advantage learner management system. We also have a few esteemed guests here today, and thank you very much for making the time. And Dr. Gebodi would then introduce them a bit more formally, just waiting for a few more people to take their seats. Please, you're more than welcome to come through. Sit in the front, are you sure? Okay. So it's not a long program, but quite an impactful program. Looking at the names on the list that would be addressing you this afternoon, we are really fortunate to have these partners and colleagues and friends and supporters of the SU Advantage in attendance today. So without further ado, I would like to call on Dr. Benedict Gebodi, which is the director at the Center for Pedagogy at Stellenbosch University, more commonly known as SANCEP, to deliver the official welcoming. Thank you, Dr.
Good evening, colleagues, and good evening to all of you. This is a moment that it's calling for a panic for some of us, because when you are at this particular point whereby what you have been thinking about for years has come to materialize, you just ask yourself, is it real? And I am Benedict Gebodi, DR in brackets. I'm the director of Stellenbosch University Center for Pedagogy, like our MC has actually indicated. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone of you to the launch of SU Advantage. Both those in this beautiful room and even those who are joining us online. I want to say to them, good evening and welcome wherever you are. SU Advantage has been a long dream of mine, and I know that my MC has been there as the thinking tank also in this, and also our partners in this particular program. I would like to extend a special welcome to our guests of honor. Firstly, let me thank Prof. Wim de Villiers, Rector and Vice Chancellor of Stellenbosch University, who unfortunately could not join us tonight due to prior engagements. But he has recorded his address to us, which will be played for you soon. Thank you, Prof, wherever you are. And I know that Prof has got a passion for education and a constant support to SANCEP. I know he is probably watching us where he is. And I want to say welcome to this function, Prof. Secondly, I want to also welcome the Vice Rector, who is here in our meeting, and Prof, you can stand a bit for everybody to see Prof. Thank you. Prof Koopman, he is here with us, and he is here as the Vice Rector, and also he will be here to also help us in a number of logistical issues that we are going to have. Secondly, or thirdly, I would like to also thank and welcome Prof Madonsela, who is joining us tonight, and who is our keynote speaker, and she needs no introduction, as you'll soon hear all about her, and some of you have heard a lot about her, and we are so honored to have her here. Welcome, Prof. A warm welcome also to our other faculties, deans from other faculties who might be here, but most importantly and specifically, we welcome our dean, who is here, Prof Mbulu Madiba, who is here, Prof. Prof Madiba. Let me now welcome the management of SANCEP, who is amongst us here, and all the staff of SANCEP who are here. Lastly, I would like to welcome the team from JB, Just Brands Africa, who are here, who also have worked tirelessly with us to be here where we are. You are welcome, colleagues, and we never thought this moment will come, but it has come. I want to end up my welcome speech with a quote from Eku McCrae's poem, African Child. May the SU Advantage Project help all South African children to take their rightful space in the coming history that we are making. The poem goes like this: I am an African child. I am the son and the daughter of the soil, rich in texture and content. I mean, I'm full of potential for a better tomorrow. Teach me discipline, teach me character, teach me hard work. Teach me to think like the star within me. We are the children of Africa, making the best of us. Yes, I am an African child. Thank you and welcome again to everyone who is here and those who are watching online as we celebrate the birth of a capital SU Advantage. Let's have the celebration starting. Thank you.
As the program director, there's quite a few more steps added to your job since COVID arrived, from sanitizing mics, keeping your distance, allowing people the space. So thank you very much, Dr. Gebori, for that welcome. As you mentioned, Prof Wim de Villiers couldn't be. Okay, and as COVID has also taught us, technical glitches are with us to stay as we go on. So a change in the program. As Dr. Gebori mentioned, Prof de Villiers couldn't be here with us today, but he has recorded his message of support, and we'll play that just after the keynote. So now it gives me great pleasure to call to the podium our keynote for tonight. Strategically, it's placed in such a way that probably some of you are still wondering what SU Advantage is, and as the night unfolds, we will take you step by step through the journey of understanding exactly what it is that we're putting out there in that space. Good afternoon, Larissa. Okay. Professor Tulisile Madonsela, an advocate of the High Court of South Africa, is the Law Trust Chair and Social Justice and a law professor at the University of Stellenbosch, where she conducts and coordinates social justice research and teaches constitutional and administrative law. She is the founder of the Tuma Foundation, an independent democracy, leadership, and literacy public benefit organization, and convener of the Social Justice M-Plan. The Marshall Plan-like initiative is aimed at catalyzing progress towards ending poverty and reducing inequality by 2030, in line with the National Development Program or Plan and the Sustainable Development Goals. Prof. Madonsela was the Public Protector of South Africa from 2009 to 2016. She is credited with transforming the institution by enhancing its effectiveness in promoting good governance and integrity. How we need that now. Prof. Madonsela is one of the drafters of the South Africa's Constitution and co-architect of several laws that have sought to anchor South Africa's democracy. A multiple award-winning legal professional with over 50 national and global awards, Prof. Madonsela has 8 honorary Doctor of Law degrees, one of which awarded by the Law Society of Canada. Named one of Time 100's most influential people in the world in 2014, Forbes Africa's Person of the Year in 2016, and one of BBC's 100 Women, please welcome to the podium Professor Thuli Madonsela for her address.
Thank you for that kind introduction, colleague Jacobs. Greetings to all of you, dear colleagues and friends of SU, and a special greeting, of course, to our guest, our host. Prof, I want to pronounce your surname properly. Prof. Mukhobodi. Yes. Prof. Khobodi. Prof, so a special greeting to Prof. Khobodi, a special greeting to Prof. Madiba, and of course our DVC, Professor Koopman. Prof, what you have started today is historical, and I am privileged to be part of this discussion today, simply because it ties up with the work we do at the Chain Social Justice, which is about advancing social justice. So that's why my topic links what's happening today with social justice. I am just wondering, my clicker is not moving. Oh, it did move. Sorry about that. It moved too fast. So as you can see on the board, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about whether education is a social justice issue. And secondly, because the organizers asked me to speak about economic mobility and education, so I thought I should ask the question, can education give you wealth? And then talk about the SU advantage and its multiplying effect, and then the role of me and you as civil society, and end with where do we go from here? Let's start with the question of, I don't know, my clicker is not working very well. Okay, but if you can help me, the next slide, please. So, is education a social justice issue? On the board, you will see an infographic that shows you who are the wealthiest people in the world and where does their wealth come from. For example, most of the wealthiest people have their wealth coming from finance and investments. The second group are those who are in fashion and retail. The third group is from real estate. And then food and beverage. Manufacturing is the next one. That would be the fifth one. The sixth, then it's diversified. Healthcare is the next one. Tech. I was surprised because I thought really the wealthiest come from tech, because we're always hearing about the Silicon Valley. Let's ponder this infographic and link it to what SU Advantage is bringing to the party. So I'm making this proposition that SU Advantage has the potential to tilt the scales on justice, the scales of justice in line with the constitutional promise and SDGs. So may I start very briefly with what is social justice. The person who coined the term social justice in 1843 saw it as just simply about fairness and justice to all. And John Rawls, who expanded on the concept in 1971, also just saw it as a simple matter of justice between groups and fairness between groups in society. Well, at the social justice chair, we have complicated it a little bit for you, using the jurisprudence from our Constitutional Court and from the United Nations. We say social justice is about equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms. And when we say equal enjoyment, we mean real, not formal. For example, everyone has a right to own a house. That's formal equality. But somebody like Palisa Musa, who was arrested as a child in 1976 and today is poor, will not be able to own a house unless assisted. So we distinguish then between formal equality and substantive equality. And equality in our Constitution is substantive equality. In other words, real chance, real opportunity to enjoy all of these human rights and freedoms that are promised in our Constitution, that are also promised in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That's social justice. So we say social justice is about equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms, and this will be reflected in a just, fair, and equitable distribution of all opportunities, resources, benefits, privileges, and burdens in a society. So that's what social justice would look like. And you'll find it being promised in our Constitution, because the preamble says we're building a new society that is founded on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. It also goes further to say that's a society where everyone's potential, or every citizen's potential is freed and everyone's life is improved. So do you think education has a role in improving your life? And does it have a role in equalizing the enjoyment of all rights and freedoms? It seems to me that those who crafted the Sustainable Development Goals think so, and it seems to me that the SU Advantage team thinks so, that contribution, that social justice, education can contribute to this fair and equitable distribution of all opportunities, resources, benefits, and privilege in a society. But can education give you wealth? Let's go to the next slide. Because the first slide was about wealth. So can education give you wealth? Because part of this equal enjoyment of rights and freedoms would require us to have wealth. I want to tell you a story, and then you can determine whether education has some role in giving you wealth. Of course, they say money can't make you happy, but we know that it's much more easier to be happy when you have money. So I want you to ponder whether the statement, education can't give you wealth, but it's much more easier to have upward economic mobility if you're educated. Let's ponder that statement, and then let's take Katu's story. Katu is a real person whose name I changed. Katu was a teacher until towards the end of 2021. Very bright young person with a university degree, was frustrated with teaching. He created an app that was going to make the lives of teachers work better, and he won a couple of competitions, but not a lot of money. So he then resigned from teaching with the hope that his pension money was going to be invested in moving his app from a prototype to a functional app. And of course, it was going to earn him money. Resigned towards the end of last year, I think around September or so last year, 2021. Past October, November, no money. December, no money. January, no money. February, no money. And he pondered a whole lot of things. He took a job as a volunteer in some NGO where he was earning just minimum amount of money. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't going anywhere. So Katu started looking globally. Talk about global citizenship. Started looking globally, applied for a job in Taiwan, got it, and is leaving South Africa. Is losing this young person, but that's not what the story is all about. He's starting a new job in April in Taiwan. So, of course, he's going to Taiwan because he's going to get money, and he was able to design this app because he had an education. So do you think now my proposition that education might not make you wealthy, but it is a building block to upward, not to economic mobility? So that then takes us to the SU advantage. But before I just deal with that, I will talk about global citizenship. We talk about global citizenship and say, under globalization, we're all global citizens. And Professor Fernandez, who spoke to us last year, who delivered the social justice, I think it was either the social justice lecture or one of the lectures on social justice, or the keynote on education, he reminded us that it's much easier to be a global citizen if you have education. And the ability to be a global citizen also means your access to opportunities, to benefits, to privileges is expanded, which is a social justice issue. And therefore, you must then agree with me that even though education is not the sole answer to equalizing opportunities in life, it is a big component of equalizing opportunities and access to resources, which gives you economic mobility. So this is what SU Advantage is hoping it can do. So for education to be an equalizer, education itself has to be equalized. And currently, many of our young people can't access education, or if they can access it, they can't access quality education. And if an initiative such as SU Advantage will not solve the problem, but it will solve part of it. And the Japanese talk about solving problems one step at a time. So if we're thinking about building our education system as a building, we can talk about this SU Advantage as one building block. And some of you would have heard the African saying that if you think you're too small to make a difference, think about a mosquito. So SU Advantage is a small mosquito biting away at economic disadvantage at education inequality. And this is a key aspect of social justice because Nancy Fraser, who was quoted by Justice Dennis Davis when he gave our inaugural social justice lecture, says that a truly socially just society has 3 dimensions for every human being. 1, representation, being represented in everything that discusses you. And in a modern society, if you're not educated, you can't be part of democracy because you can barely understand a lot of the things that are being discussed. So education is going to bring you into being part of building society and even the ability to say no to certain developments that are not going to advance your life. It also brings an opportunity to be recognized because you can only be recognized if you are counted. So education brings you into spaces where your voice counts and your own democracy dividend is accounted for. And if you look at the SU advantage, or recognition as part of SU advantage is that it recognizes the imbalances in the country and extends this platform of education to everywhere. Prof. Madiba was explaining to us that you can access SU advantage even by phone, which one of the impediments to accessing digital life and digital services is access to digital devices. Of course, somebody is going to argue, and correctly, to say accessing digital services by phone is a disadvantage compared to somebody who can access these services by laptop. But again, go back to that mosquito thing. Would you rather have nothing or would you rather have a slice of bread? So because we're building just one block at a time, instead of saying, okay, we're just gonna wait until we can build the whole building instantly. So the last thing is restitution. We are an unequal society, and a lot of it has to do with the past. If you can see there's a bit of a monopoly board. When we teach social justice here, to make it easier for our students, we say, imagine people on a monopoly game, and we rig the game. So the 2 teams start together, a blue team and a pink team. I see Prof are in the pink team, and Prof is in the blue team. So the 2 teams start at the same time. Then you stop the pink team from playing. And you ask the blue team to take its property. And then after the game has gone on and for a while, you don't stop the game, you bring back the pink team. And no matter how they protest, you continue with the team. And then the question we ask students is, can the pink team and the blue team be ever equal unless you tweak something? It tends to make people understand, because often people say, just get everyone. When we talk about Action for Inclusion, for example, trying to raise money for students, they say, no, why can't people get a loan? You can't get a loan if you don't have property. But is it also fair that others would get loans, and when they start working, whilst they're supporting family members, they're also encumbered by loans, when some of our children just have to start working. In fact, when they start working, we buy them cars, and we give them a house, a townhouse. So they start on a higher ground, but it comes with this monopoly ground, with this monopoly game, in that obviously the blue team is advantaged, the pink team is disadvantaged, unless we do something. Then people say, but people work hard. Like in a normal monopoly game, some of the pink members will be ahead of some of the pink members, and some of the blue members will be ahead of some of the blue members. So there'll be shades of blue and shades of pink. But if we want a truly equal society, Nancy Fraser says there should be a restitutive element. But the question then that arises is whose job is it, which takes me to the next slide. Why should civil society get involved, and how should civil society get involved? I normally just say when I train on EPIC leadership, which is ethical, purpose-driven, impact-conscious, and committed to serve leadership, usually under the Tuma Foundation, that if you want a particular outcome, the next move is always yours. If we're sitting on both South Africa, where some of us are left behind, but because of that, we are not performing optimally as a team, then we can't wait for government, isn't it? We can all be mosquitoes and sting a little bit into inequality and play some role. So when the guardrails of constitutional governance are not holding, constitutional democracy gets derailed. We saw in July last year what happened. That's one of what awaits us when the guardrails of constitutional democracy are not holding. So why should me and you do it? Part of it is Ubuntu, because we're better off if we invest in each other. But part of it, it's for peace, because those who are left behind may not have an interest in a stable society. So as your advantage, and some other project that the University of Stellenbosch is driving, which is called the Social Justice M Plan, are some of the avenues for social leadership by you and me and others. So there's a big elephant there. The big elephant in the room is inequality. We can teach people to behave, we can tell people that they should stop being angry and toxic. The truth is hunger makes people angry. And education is one of the things that makes people feel left behind. And there's numerous research findings that show that when people are educated, they're less likely to see violence as a solution when things go right. So just apart from the fact that education puts people in a better position, in an advantage, like SU Advantage says, it puts you in an advantage when it comes to social mobility and economic mobility, but it also helps people to think about other ways of solving society, because they do say violence is the language of the disempowered. And education does empower us socially and otherwise. Then lastly, the future. You've heard some politicians saying our constitution is not delivering. So I'm here to defend that constitution, not because I was one of the drafters, it's just because, honestly, despite what politicians say to you, constitutions on their own do not deliver on their promises. A constitution is a piece of paper. So I don't understand these politicians who say our constitution is not delivering. People do. So constitutions are just a piece of paper, a pledge we're making for ourselves in terms of where are we going. And Justice Ismail Mohammed said from the word-go that constitutions normally state how we do things in a society. That's the normal way of a constitution. SRC constitution just restates how we do things. But our constitution is not like that. It's a different constitution in that it's a blueprint not on how we are, but on how we want to become. So it was very clear from the outset that our constitution was a transformative constitution that we were going to use as a blueprint to design a new society. And that meant dismantling the bricks of inequality and building a new society that is founded on equality. And who's supposed to do that? Humans. And those humans include me and you, because if we want this new world that is promised by the Constitution, then we have to realize that we are its midwives. So we're not asking you to do anything big, though, to be the midwife. For example, SU Advantage is just saying probably spread the word about so that young people can get on the platform. But secondly, they've also put out a request for funding. You know, they've got 3 ways you can fund. You can fund one child, you can fund a skill, and you can fund perpetually. Again, just like being a mosquito, you can bite at inequality, just one bite at a time. And like a builder, in a Kaizen or Japanese Kaizen perspective, you can build the society we want to become one step at a time. So I hope you do agree with me that education might not give you wealth, but it certainly does make it easier for you to enjoy economic mobility. And thank you, dear colleagues, for what you do.
Thank you, Prof, for that very insightful and powerful message. I think more than that is also contextualizing how this platform can play a role in the greater society and upward mobility. So thank you very much, Prof, again. Are we good? Okay, so if you can just on the screen now, a message from Prof. Wim de Villiers. He's made an apology due to prior engagements. He couldn't be here this evening, but he has recorded his message of support.
Hello, I'm Wim de Villiers, Rector and Vice Chancellor of Stellenbosch University, and I'm very excited to announce the official launch of SU Advantage. SU Advantage is an online supplementary education platform for FET phase learners, and it was developed by Sunset, the Stellenbosch University Center for Pedagogy, which is part of our Faculty of Education. Sunset has a rich history of supporting high school learners in South Africa through various academic interventions. In 2020, they, like the rest of the world, had to quickly adopt new and innovative ways in which to continue with their most important job of providing additional academic interventions to learners. That's when Sunset decided to create an online supplementary learning platform, which was a huge success from the start, with more than 4,000 learners who have successfully used the platform through donor funding to advance their school performance. Now, Stellenbosch University, together with Sunset, is excited to announce that we are officially launching SU Advantage as a standalone product that can be used on a subscription basis by learners across South Africa. Learners in grades 10, 11, and 12 can sign up to use SU Advantage from anywhere via any smart device. Our goal is not to replace traditional mainstream schooling, so SU Advantage is therefore not an online school. Instead, SU Advantage is meant to consolidate and solidify key subject topics that learners are taught in classrooms. SU Advantage features additional learning material for 11 subjects. These include various forms of engaging video lessons, consolidated live lessons presented by subject specialists, online assessments, and an online library with past papers, study guides, workbooks, and more. The platform was designed to perfectly combine accepted pedagogic principles with modern forms of learning material that effectively communicate subject topics to learners. This makes it a highly effective supplementary learning aid. SU Advantage is also committed to an important social goal of democratizing education in our country. And this is in line with our university's vision to advance knowledge in service of society. Through donations, SU Advantage will also be made available to learners in schools with limited resources. Furthermore, the platform is forward-looking. SU Advantage does not purport to be a short-term solution for learners. Instead, it is a platform that was created to help learners perform better in school, but also in life, beyond high school, and in their future careers. Ultimately, we have upward economic mobility in mind. With SU Advantage's approach to learning, more of South Africa's youth can reach their dreams of receiving a tertiary education. For more information or to subscribe to SU Advantage, visit www.suadvantage.co.za. Thank you.
Okay. You have now heard how we contextualize this platform. You have heard Prof. de Villiers state exactly where he sees it plays. So it gives me great pleasure to call to the podium the next speaker. And in a lot of things, when you start, and I was part of the process when we started building this thing about 3 years ago, the only thing that really makes sense is when you build platforms with partners. And I think sometimes we take that for granted. And it is with that that I have the privilege of and pleasure of calling Francois van Loo, who is the Managing Director of Just Brands Africa, which has been our partner in developing this very forward-thinking platform. And he's going to take us through exactly what the platform looks like and its capability.
Thank you, Leslie. Let's just see if we... Hi guys, thank you very much. It's truly an honor and a privilege. I would just like to see if we can get our display up and running. There we go. It's really a privilege for us, like I mentioned, it's really a privilege for us that we could partner with SANCEP and Stellenbosch University in building this product. It's way more than a product that we believe, and I think what's important to note is that this thing really is shaping the future of South African youth and what we're trying to create with this product. Over the past 3 years, every year we've had better iterations of the product, and over the time, I think we've come to a point where we have a product which we can proudly say can live in the open market outside. So just to give you guys a bit of background of our history with SANCEP and in building this solution. So SANCEP obviously is around since 2013, and it was established with the purpose of adding value to education in South Africa. And since inception, SANCEP have been utilizing supplementary learning intervention like vacation schools, matric camps, and weekend classes to supplement learning losses caused by various challenges in the education system. As a result of the global pandemic in 2020, SANCEP had to rapidly change their traditional approach by pivoting to online learning, and that's where we stepped into the party. In 2020, we partnered with SANCEP, and we launched the first version of the LMS on the SocoEd platform and created video content to replace traditional face-to-face holiday school programs for grade 11 and 12 learners with a focus on delivering mathematics and physical science lessons. The following year, we launched an updated version of the LMS. However, the biggest change here was that for the first time, we introduced supplementary learning content across 11 subjects for grade 12 learners. And this was a big change in what we were offering as a solution. So this year, again, we are launching a brand new version of the LMS, and we have added supplementary content for grade 10 and grade 11 learners as well. But however, the biggest difference this year is that the product isn't only available to learners who are being funded through CSI projects, but that the private market or the open market actually can engage with the product as well. So what is SU Advantage? So in a nutshell, firstly, it's important to mention, again, as Professor Wim de Villiers said, it's not an online high school. It's an online supplementary education platform which provides the necessary additional tuition and educational support to learners in grade 10 to 12. So how do we approach education as a whole? So SU Advantage takes a holistic approach in the delivery of online supplementary education. All subjects consist of topic-based animated video lessons. Each video lesson follows with an immediate online assessment. Each lesson is also provided with a more in-depth workbook and memo to further learners' understanding of the lesson and the topic being taught. Live lessons are presented on a bi-weekly basis across all subjects, across all 3 grades. And further to this, the platform hosts a knowledge base which consists of various other e-resources like past exam papers for grade 12s and even mock exam papers for grade 11s and grade 10s. So SU Advantage makes use of a built-in ticketing system to provide learners with both educational and technical support. Over the past 2 years, we've had various learnings in our own mission to really put this product out in the market. And we've had various things because many of the learners who are using our platform have never even had a device before in their lives. And just to register this learner on the platform has been quite challenging in certain parts. And through those learnings, we've continuously made the whole process better and easier for these learners to register on our platforms. So on launch, we're launching with 11 subjects, but of course in future we're looking to build out more subjects into the platform. And currently there's of course an emphasis on mathematics and physical science. All the content on the platform is drip-fed weekly to learners, and the rollout thereof is aligned with the Department of Basic Education's annual teaching plan. Further to this content, the content is developed to focus on continuous consolidation and assessment. It's able to involve learners for the entire academic year. It's aimed to continuously strengthen what teachers present in class, and is able to save cost when compared to in-person tuition. So if we look at SU Advantage in numbers, SU Advantage, as Professor Wim de Villiers mentioned, we've supported more than 4,000 learners on the platform through CSI funding available, and we've got the available subjects is over 1,000 lessons that's available on the platform right now. So if you take all the lessons through grade 10 to grade 12, there's over 1,000 animated videos and in-depth lessons that's available on the platform for learners to use. We currently have over 40 subjects, experts involved in the project, and that's in both the creation of the content as well as in presenting the live lessons to learners on a weekly basis. Our team of more than 20 content designers continuously improve the visual aspect of the lesson. So for us, the job is never done. We continuously make the product better and better. And currently we have over 50 support team members who will be supporting these learners from both the educational and the technical standpoint. So this is something that we really work hard on, and that we really look at other products, is that we looked at the learner first. So we were looking at the learner, where many other products try to create something that is going to satisfy, let's call it the adults in the room. But for us, it was crucially important to work on the user journey of the learner. And is it okay, Emil? Okay, to look at the journey of the learner. But what's important here is that I would never forget a day. We were sitting in Dr. Kabodi's office, and we were talking about the learner journey. And
Hey,
Dr.
I'm
Kabodi took out a piece of
Tato, and
paper
I'm
and
a
he drew
South African
2 children
grade
sitting in a
12
classroom, and he
You're
said, can't you
probably
make this
wondering
into
how
an
this might be
infographic or
relevant
something?
to you.
So doctor, today we actually want to give you a visual representation of what your vision was on that day in the form of a video.
Hey, I'm Tato, and I'm a South African grade 12 student. You're probably wondering how this might be relevant to you. Well, I'll let you in on my story. Being someone that has many hobbies, I just felt that there was never enough time in the day to attend extra classes, practice hockey, and to create content for my social media pages. This impacted my marks significantly. So I got in touch with my teachers after school to ask for help, but I wasn't the only one. They ended up being too busy to be able to help me. That's when I noticed that my friend, Megan, was not only doing well, but crushing her tests and had the answer to every question. This motivated me to find a different way to improve my marks. So, if you can't beat them, join them, right? I sent her a message and asked her how she does it. That's when she introduced me to SU Advantage. an online platform she uses to have a better understanding of what we're learning in class, helping her to always be on top of her work and still get to do everything she wants to do after school. SU Advantage includes a whole bunch of interactive features and tools to make learning easier and quicker. I get access to different things like past papers, study guides, short or in-depth video lessons, and even live sessions with the teachers. The best part, I can view them as many times as I want. I almost forgot to mention, not only do they offer content for grade 12 learners, but they also offer material for grade 10 and 11 students, which means my younger brother gets to improve with me. I was so impressed with the platform that I immediately went to my parents to show them what my excitement was all about. My dad's first question was, "What's the cost?" He didn't believe me when I said, "It's only 399 Rand per month." We signed up, and that is the story of how I beat my self-doubts, becoming a better student that's less anxious about my matric marks and getting into a university. If you want to be like me and begin your journey, simply visit www.suadvantage.co.za and get started. SU Advantage, High School Amplified.
Thank you. So that's actually all Dr. Gebodi's ideas that was playing on the screen right there. Let's just see if I can get back to my screen.
Hey, I'm Tato, and I'm a South African grade 12 student. You're probably wondering how this might be relevant to you. Well, I'll let you in on my story. Being someone that has many hobbies, I just felt that there was never enough time in the day to attend extra classes, practice hockey, and to create content for my social media pages. This impacted my marks significantly. So I got in.
There we go. All right. So thank you, guys. So without taking too much of everyone's time, I think it's important to show the audience just what the platform actually looks like and what the learners would be experiencing from a front-end perspective. Alrighty, so that's the LMS, the brand new one that we launched this year, or completed development in December, and finally have it in the market right now. What we see the product is that the product is alive, and what we tried to do was to build a single ecosystem where all your educational tools are right there. Many other systems in the market, they usually send you outside of the ecosystem, and they would send you to different platforms to actually use the tool. But for us, because we understand our users and we understand some of their ability or their computer skills levels aren't as high as we would all like it to be, we had to build something that is really, really simple to use and easy to use. And that's why we came up with the idea of having the dashboard available at all times. So if you just look at this, the learner can change the header image. So we purposely created it this way to create a world that is kind of like that you understand. So if you were on Facebook or you were on Instagram, then it's an easy to use type of platform if you've used any of those social platforms. So all the tools sits on your left, but what's important to note is that all your live lessons happens on the system as well. So that notification would, obviously there's no live lessons happening right now, but that notification tool will give you all the live lessons, and all the lessons that you're busy with would sit on the right-hand side, almost like a last watched tool that sits there, so that you can easily go back to the last lesson that you were busy with. We've also built a feed onto the platform, which now as subjects, new content for subjects comes through to the system, learners can find it on their feed. We've also really looked at the mailing system. So understanding the market that we're working with, many of these learners have never used the email address in their lives. And what was happening is that learners were re-registering themselves with new email addresses all the time because they simply couldn't remember their previous password, or they didn't know how to reset the password. And we decided to create all the communication inside the system. So everything that happens inside the platform itself. So currently right now, learners can't communicate with each other on the platform. However, administrative staff, subject specialists and experts and admin staff can communicate directly to learners, and they can select whether they want to get response or not. We've also built a blog system where news and articles can come on. And I think we can use this as a tool to educate learners about things beyond life at high school, and really also help them out to prepare for exams, how to apply for university, what type of things you need to do. And all those, let's call it external type of news, can be fed through the system, through the blog itself. So the LMS is the engine room of the whole platform. This is obviously why learners use the platform, because they want to get access to their lessons. So if you look on the left-hand side there, you'll see that all your lessons or all your subjects are available on the left. And as you click on one of them, all your lessons would appear. And as you guys can see, the system is really data light, and it really loads really, really fast. So if I take an example of a lesson, let's take this one as an example. The lesson would load pretty quickly, and learners can go straight into doing the lesson. We understand data limitations in South Africa as well. So what we do is, we're sorry about the audio not playing right now, but it's obviously because we muted Tato earlier. But that is how the lessons are being presented, and it's all consolidated, the lessons itself. So when we say a consolidated lesson, we take the annual teaching plan, we see what that topic was that was being presented in that week, and instead of breaking it up into 4 lessons of 40 minutes each, we take that whole entire lesson in an animated format and give you that whole week's content within 25 minutes. So after every single lesson on the platform, there's a quiz attached to that lesson as well. And it's a very quick quiz, but beyond that, for learners to get a more in-depth understanding of the lesson, they can also use the workbooks and memos that comes on the system. So the knowledge base, that's a basic idea of what the LMS is, but the knowledge base is where we go even more in depth with certain elements on the platform. So on the knowledge base, you would find things like past exam papers, e-resources, frequently asked questions, anything to do with your personal protection and all those things. Everything lives inside this side, and all this communication and content is available to all the learners on the platform. We definitely see the LMS as a funnel also to bring new learners to the university who wish to apply at the university. And what we did was we actually broke down every single faculty and every undergraduate program that is available on the system, and learners can actually apply for those things directly out of the platform. So it also gives the learner a snapshot of what is required for them to do the course or to do the degree. And then they can simply click the apply button, and it takes you straight to the university's own portal of where you apply to come study at the university. What we did on top of that was to source all the bursaries that are available from the university in each faculty. So if you're applying for arts and social sciences, then you can apply directly for those bursaries straight from the platform as well. So it was really our goal to simplify the whole environment and to make everything literally a touch of a button away. If we think about the very first, and I think Lyndon could attest to this, if we think of the first platform that we rolled out and compared to what we're putting into the market right now, I believe we have a leading product in terms of the technology we're using and in terms of how easy it is to use for the learner and access certain elements that is required. And then to get back to the part of learners who use a mobile phone, who might not be as advantaged or privileged as the learner who's using a laptop, it was our core mission to ensure that the experience on a mobile phone is just as good as the experience on a laptop or tablet. back here. All right, thanks. So that's just a really basic overview of the system itself. Obviously, behind the scenes, there's a lot happening, and there's dashboards and all sorts of things capturing all the data, and we can report on all our learners are using. But from that, the accurate reporting thing, what's important for us is that we can actually involve parents, and parents can be part of the learning journey and the learning experience of these learners. So parents receive a weekly, or they can select if they want to, parents receive a weekly report of their learners' performance on the platform. And through that, we believe that we can now make it a better experience for the learner, because they can have engagement from their parents to assist them with this. So that's me for this, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. So now it's show and tell, it's over, it's done, it's everything. But partnerships also goes more than 2, 3, 4 ways. And today, as a sign of really establishing the platform in the market, building relationships, we have partnered with 5 high schools in and around, and asked the principals or the deputy principal, the SMT of the school, to identify 2 gifted learners at their school. And they are amongst us, and some of our honorary guests today. And I'm going to call them to the front now, and they will each be receiving a full subscription for the academic year going ahead, a tablet, and the necessary data to be able, because one thing to give the platform, and it's another to allow access. So if you would allow me, I would like to call the learners from Fazeka Secondary School, Umfeleni Secondary School, Forest Heights Secondary School, Bishop Laver Secondary School, and Woodland Secondary School to please come to the front. Please, don't be shy. Prof. Koopman. Prof. Koopman and Prof. Modensela, would you help us in handing over these gifts to these gifted learners? You can stand on the side as well. We'll do one afterwards, it's too crowded. So what Prof. Koopman and Prof. Modensela is handing over to the students is a tablet, monthly data, and then a subscription to SU Advantage for the 2022 academic year. Thank you. Yes, we can start. There we go. Thank you very much, and we trust that this would add to your academic journey. We will opt for a photo opportunity afterwards. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we are almost at the end of our program. I think working on, or with the team on the strategy, on the part of the educational strategy, there was a lot of negativity with online education even pre-COVID. And working in a space that we serve gifted learners in maths and science, and have extensive experience in working in that space pre-COVID, COVID, and I would like to call a post-pandemic approach. I think online education, when it's done well, it's simply not a virtual, it's not simply a virtual alternative to face-to-face. Instead, it is informed by its own pedagogical principles so that learning experiences can be intentionally designed towards the achievement of specific learning outcomes. I think when you look at it in that context, it gives you a greater understanding of the upward mobility that Prof. Madonsela has spoke about earlier. So without further ado, I would like to call on the Dean of the Faculty of Education, Prof. Madiba, for closing remarks on this evening. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good evening. Huenan, Molweni, Hujambo. Must register. Adults are also welcome there. So let me begin by thanking everyone for attending this evening lunch, those who are attending here in person and those who are attending online. And of course, a special word of welcome to our Vice Rector, Professor Nick Wopman. Special word of thanks to our Rector and Vice Chancellor, Professor Wim de Villiers. You know, although he was not here, but we really appreciate the video that is recorded. You know, Professor de Villiers is a strong supporter of our faculty. He really is quite passionate about education. He supports education. He's fully behind any initiative that we do in the faculty. And I really want to thank him for his continuous support. And of course, a big thank you to our keynote speaker, Professor Thuli Madonsela. Your speech has really highlighted the challenges that our education system is faced with and how learning and teaching resources such as this one can assist in bridging the education divide. So we really appreciate, I'm not really going to go to repeat what you have said. You see, when I grew up as an African, I was taught that if someone speaks before you, you don't repeat. You just stand up and say, "Kila kale," that is mine. Although, you know, in schooling system, when you say "Kila kale," they say you are plagiarizing. That's plagiarism. but in African culture, no, it's not plagiarism. You can own somebody's words and becomes yours instantly, and no one will question you. So I'm owning every single word that you have said, and I'm saying those are my words. So those are the words of the dean. So and thank you very much for your speech, and of course thanks really JB Africa, Mr. Francois Van Loo. We really appreciate. We really thank you for this great partnership. I think this is just an example, you know, of what partnership, public-private partnership can do, you know, if we are working together. So we really thank you for this and for the support that you have given our faculty and SANCEP in this project. So, you know, I think SEU Advantage is a revolutionary project. I know people use this word very often, revolution. But I think, as Professor Madonsela have said, that, you know, something that really changes one state of something to another state that can be regarded as transformative. So this is what I see this project. So this launch comes at a time when our country's education system is facing a major challenge. You know, while our education system has been facing major challenges due to poverty, inequality, and unemployment, which Professor Madonsela have really spoken about, the outbreak of COVID-19 has worsened the situation. The number of learners that were lost from the system, I think the research really shows, I mean, over 700,000 learners that we cannot account for that were lost to the system because of the pandemic. So equity of access and the equity of success continue to pose a challenge. So I think the launch of SU Advantage, as we know, it's not going to solve all the problems, but will indeed contribute to addressing some of these challenges. COVID-19 crisis has taught us to be creative. You know, in English they say, desperation is the mother of all invention. If it was not COVID, I always say to people that if it was not COVID, it was going to take us several decades for us to move into online teaching. We were so anxious about, our fingers will shiver when we're about to touch a computer, a tablet. You know, we were so anxious, we're just talking that someday we will find ourselves teaching online. Even in universities, we kept on saying we are going to switch into online. But I'm telling you, it only took one day, one announcement that everything shut down. We all find ourselves, online. We all find ourselves online, and our learners find themselves online. So in other words, COVID, yes, it's something that we really will never forget, but in a way, it was a blessing in disguise. That it really pushes us, to overcome our fears, and then we find ourselves overnight teaching online. But we know, of course, that those who come from the well-to-do backgrounds, well, they were able to swim through. But some of those who are coming from the poor, disadvantaged background, some of them really sunk. They couldn't really swim across. But I think it is through resources such as this one that will really provide support to our learners. People keep on talking about bouncing back, and I think this is what the Department of Education is trying to do. Even in universities, we still want the real thing. The real thing is when the professor is standing like this and is coughing facts and students are taking notes, then they say, wash, this is really teaching. We want to bounce back to that. And I think that is not a good approach. The good approach is that let's bounce forward. So bouncing forward, yes, there are those who are going to extreme, bouncing forward, straight landing online only. And we think that it's reasonable for us to fall in between online and still face-to-face. And that's why this resource is SU Advantage. It's just a supplementary, and I think it will really go a long way in supporting our learners. So we really thank the donors and who have really supported this project. As we said, it was not funded by the faculty or by the university. The donors has assisted us to fund this. And thanks again, JB Africa, for bringing this innovation into this space. We really thank you, for assisting us. So we thank you really for believing us. I think when, Dr. Khobole was approaching you, that we really need to advance this concept, and then you really supported. So standing here, you can see, the problem with online thing, if you don't keep on updating these things, the next thing you try to press the button and say, no, this system is no longer functioning. It's no longer supported. So it means you must continue support, you must continue. So I really appeal for supporters, appealing for funding. Those who are listening to us, we really appeal that you support us. I was just talking here with Professor Madonsela that, just imagine, some of the big companies like Vodacom, like MTN, just coming and saying, we are sponsoring the whole village. There's no need for you to subscribe. There's no subscription. Although our subscription is very, very, I tell you, this is the least we can get, in the country. But if we can get that kind of support, people joining hands, partnering with us, sponsoring learners and so on, and again, assisting us, to advance it, I think we can really do more. I think JB Africa still have more ideas on how we can improve this thing and make it more. I was appealing to them because I'm a champion of multilingualism, speaking tongues. So I say to them, can we make this thing speak in different languages? So they said, yes, if there are resources, we can try to do that. So it can speak closer, this thing can speak, technology is very good. It can really speak all the kind of languages that we want to do. So we can make it more accessible to all other learners. But of course, we are appealing for more funding. So I think really, in conclusion, I really just want you to join me as we thank SANCEP and Dr. Khobole and his team, for the sterling work that they've done, we really thank you for this and congratulate you for this achievement. And I also really want to acknowledge the presence of the Department of Education, that I'm told that there are members of the Department of Education who are here. So we really appreciate you for your coming, because this is definitely is going to be, it's meant to support schools. So we are really happy to see, I can see some of the members that I know that are here. So we really appreciate for your coming, and we think definitely you will add something that you want us to improve on this thing. So I just want to thank you very much for coming, and say to Sansep, well done, nisebenzile, mooi werk. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, that marks the end of our formal program, so thank you very much to all our online viewers. As they would say, we are now open for business. So www.suadvantage.co.za is where you go to subscribe. All our handles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at SUAdvantage. All the information is there, so yeah, we are open for business. Thank you very much. I hope you have a really good evening. And just on that note, before I go, I just got a text while I was sitting here that St. Barnabas College, I don't know if any of you know, it's a very well-known school in Randburg in Johannesburg, has just pledged that they are buying subscription for all the grade 10s, 11s, and 12s. It's a school that I've built up a relation for a while, and they really trust the good work that we've done in other projects, and that just shows that once you've built something within the market, it will spin off. So that's also a challenge to all the other schools out there that would like to do so. We are always open for conversations on partnerships going forward. So thank you very much, and drive safe. And for all the schools that are here with the principals and teachers, there will be a photo opportunity with Prof. Kopan and Prof. Madonsela just after this. Thank you very much. Do you just...
Well done to you,
Oh, yeah. No, you can move that. You can, yeah, you can move that definitely. I think this can roll, eh? Yeah, just.
I broke someone's charges.
Okay, okay. Oh, so this one, oh, sorry.
No, I broke this charger. I stepped on it by accident.
Oh, that, I saw, yeah. I couldn't, there's something that, I heard the noise, yeah. Hey. I heard the noise, yeah, and I didn't understand, I didn't know what exactly happened, yeah. You want us to remove the mask, eh? We are vaccinated. We are all vaccinated. And boosted. We are boosted.